Welcome back everybody, welcome to the first video using my new camera. Hope you notice a big improvement. So what we're looking at today, well, we're looking at this Trek, and the customer's own words, he's really f***ed up. So what we got going on. So he's tried to put this new pedal, and we should all know by now that a left hand pedal has a left hand thread on it. However, somehow he's managed to get it all the way into the crank, turning it the right hand thread way, so he's made a right mess of this. So what we're going to do is try and get this out and repair the damaged crank. So let's have a look. Yeah, the problem is he screwed it in. You can see this is sitting dramatically off angle here, so somehow he screwed it all the way in as a right hand thread, whereas on a left hand pedal you need to screw it in the left hand thread. It's not a new bike. New bikes have a little sticker here to remind you. It is a used bike, so I'll give him that. There was no sticker there to help him, but to get that screwed pretty much all the way in there, the wrong thread, is quite an achievement, to be fair. So he's done well. So let's see if we can get it out, and if we can, I'll show you what we're going to do. So if we can get it out, we're going to use this Junior pedal repair kit. So all this is basically a set of oversized taps and some inserts that you screw into the newly freshly cut thread. The tap handle, these get Loctited in, so we can repair it with that. It's left hand, right hand threads. If we can't successfully repair the thread, which we should be able to, then I've got a replacement chain set here, which is better quality than the one that's on there, and realistically it's similar sort of cost. This is £30, and the pedal thread repair kit is going to be sort of £20, so realistically you probably put this on anyway. But the purpose of this video really is to show you what's possible. If you do have a far more expensive crank, sort of a Dura Ace power meter or something like that, then it's not the end of the world if you do damage the thread. So I'll show you what we're going to do to repair it, but worst case scenario, we can put this on. So obviously the first thing we've got to do is get the remains of this pedal out. So drop the bike down to the floor. I'm going to use a pedal spanner on this one. So there's a 6mm Allen key slot on the back, but I'm going to use a spanner. I mean, it's debatable which way to try and turn this really. I think which way is going to work best. Oh, it's not actually that tight. I think he's damaged it that badly. It's probably just going to fall out. Let me get an Allen key. Well, the pedal's survived. The steel axle on a pedal always survives over the aluminium of a crank. Got a pedal tap here. I'm going to run this through first. This is a left-hand thread tap, obviously. I don't think it's quite as badly damaged as the guy actually first made out, so you might get away with just this. So I'm going to remove the crank first, see if we can just get this tap through the other side. So it's not as bad as the guy was making out. I thought this was going to be a really dramatic video. It might actually be a really easy fix. Well, that wasn't very tight, was it? Nearly fell out. Just the crank extractor on this one, it's dead easy. Old-fashioned square taper bottom bracket. Even on a modern bike, they still use them on the sort of lower end stuff rather than hollow techs or anything more technical than that. Just need a crank extractor. Oh, that's tight. It weren't falling off, was it? So if you're using these, don't be afraid. They are really, really tight. Just make sure there's no washer left in there, because all you're doing then is squashing the washer and not taking the crank off. But they can be very, very tight. Just got some plastic jaws in the vise just to hold this without marking it up too much. The important thing is to get it straight. If you are trying to cut a new thread or just even repair this one, you don't want to be going in at an angle. So there's 2 or 3 good threads on the back of this one, so if we can just get it started on here, it should run itself through quite nicely. You just got to work out which way it goes because it is a left-hand thread. So that's going in there quite nicely now. So we'll just power this through, and to be honest, this might be all this bike needs. I don't have a tap in this side, so I'm just going to have to use a spanner, unfortunately. Sorry. I'm not trying to cut a thread, we're just clearing out the rubbish that was left in there. So if you are cutting it, you obviously need to go backwards and forwards to clear the debris out, but this went through with no problem at all. There's no real resistance at all there. It is damaged. There's basically a double thread cut there. I don't know if you can see that. So we do need to get rid of this and put an insert in. Okay, let's do that. This is the left-hand thread tap then. Like you see, because it's got these tapers on it, what can happen when you start it, it can go in like this. You can't line these threads up on here because they're much bigger than the existing threads. So the important bit is to get this started straight. It's critical. So these are blades on here. It's going to cut the remains of the old thread. So we know a pedal, left-hand thread, a left-hand pedal is going to go in this, going to screw in this way. So we need to cut this in the same direction. All right, let's go with this then. Like I say, this kit is extremely expensive. It'd only be owned by a bike shop, but they normally charge, I don't know, I'd charge somebody £20 for this, but I don't know if your local bike shop would be the same or probably slightly more. And again, the crank set is only sort of £20–30 itself, so yeah, it's definitely probably not worth doing on this one, but you can't get the matching left-hand crank particularly easily because it's sort of Trek's own brand stuff, but you can fit a complete new chain set, no problem. All right, this seems to be going in lovely and straight now, so that's good. So you can see it cutting out all this damaged threads now, so just keep going until the thread itself goes through, and then we are cutting a new thread. So at the moment all we're doing is cutting aluminium straight off. There's no resistance here as well, so there's no real need to clear chips as you go in. We'll do that when we get into the cutting part, which is now. Right, now we're cutting a thread. Keep this clean. I'm just going to put some cutting fluid on this as well. And just keep going. When you are cutting a thread, make sure you go forwards one sort of thing, and then back a quarter of a turn or so. It just clears the chips out of the threads, like this. This is going in easily. And it looks nice and straight. So some cranks, left-hand cranks, right-hand cranks. Normally left-hand one that goes because people don't read the instructions or whatever. But it can be done to any crank. They're all the same size, 9/16 pedal. Some little kids' bikes are 1/2 inch, but you're not going to be doing this on a £20 3-year-old bike. Right, that's through now. I'm going with one finger now. It's completely through. Right, I'm going to power that all the way through and just let it drop out the other side, like that. Just take this handle off. We're done. So this kit, I think, is best part of £200, so it's certainly not something the average DIY is going to buy for a one-off use. But most bike shops carry these in stock. So there's a lovely fresh thread cut in there. This is too big for a pedal, obviously. Now this is cut for the insert. Now all we've got to do is fit this insert into the actual new cut thread that we've done. We used red Loctite. This is a permanent Loctite. You're never getting this out. You can get it out if you heat it up, obviously, but in normal use it's never coming out. The best way to do this is thread this onto the pedal and just screw it in. Thread this onto the pedal. Doesn't need to be all the way just yet. And then there's some Loctite on this. We don't want this coming out. Just need to clean this thread first with some isopropyl alcohol. Right, let's get plenty on this and just power this through. This is just isopropyl alcohol to clean any remains of the cutting fluid out there. And we're going to get this started in here. Obviously a left-hand thread, we know that now. Customer should know that now. And just screw this in. Easy if you get an Allen key really, and just spin the pedal in. Yeah, so we'll just spin this in. It'll pull the thread in with it. No problem. Right. We will have some sticking out the end of there, that's nothing to worry about. Once that's in, remove the pedal, just keep your thumb on this insert, it doesn't go anywhere. Fair, it's not really moving anyway. And then just wind this through a little bit more if you can. Just screw that in by hand now. You basically want it just below the surface on the other side. It just needs to sit just below the surface on the drive side, and you will have a little bit sticking out the back, which we can cut off later. This little piece just protruding from the back. I mean, you can leave that there technically, but we're going to try and cut that off with a grinder very carefully when it's dry. This needs 24 hours to dry though, but drive side, this is what it should look like. That's repaired. So that's a proper size left-hand thread insert in this crank now. So the other problem on this bike is this hose that's fitted at the factory is way too long. So it's gone up in the air here and it's been kinked. It's been badly damaged here. So we can't leave it like that. The brakes still work, but we can't leave it like this. It's hopeless. So what we're going to do, get this off, is take this out, trim the hose to the proper length, fit a new barb and olive, and put it back to where it should be. 9 times out of 10, when you're just trimming a hose, as long as you don't squeeze a lever or something daft while it's off, you'll get away with just a trim without needing to bleed it. So let's see how we get on. This part tool spanner is very good for these. It fits around. So flare, not spanner, basically. So these come out normally pretty well. The bike is actually, I think it's only a couple of months old, so it's in good condition. It's just these issues, one self-inflicted and one by the factory, not been fitted very well at all. It's way too long, this is. So there's the existing. We've got a gold barb here, so we know this is BH59. So what we're going to do now is get this to a sensible length where it needs to be. It doesn't need much, but we just certainly need to get rid of this kink. And it needs to go sort of around about here. What you need to make sure is obviously you can turn the bars through 90 degrees without damaging it. Obviously you're never going to steer like this, but if you have an accident, what you don't want it to do is spin around and rip it out the lever. So that's enough there. So we can just cut this now, make sure you leave enough for the barb itself. So probably another 10mm from where I said, so we're going to cut it around about here. It's not super critical on something like this, but that's enough. Make sure you refit this nut before you put the new barb and olive on. So that's a bad day then. BH59, bag of olives and barbs here, these are from AliExpress. Just clamp this on here. Set this the way you want it, about 1mm, 1/2 mm from the end. And you just screw this barb into there. So the olive is free on this one. Sometimes they get really tight, that's why I say hold it in place. You need to just put a drop of grease on this, just so it can spin into the lever nicely. So just push that in there, screw it up. Use a spanner to tighten that up. You'll feel it when it starts to crush it. There is a torque setting for this and there's a special spanner for it. To be honest, I've had very little success with it. It always feels like it's going to do it way, way, way too tight, so I'll stop. I've never had a problem doing it by hand either, so that's fine like that. Put your cap back on, just pump the lever a few times. And that's basically exactly where it was there. Okay, good. So as long as you don't squeeze the lever while you're doing that, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, you'll get away with trimming that just without bleeding it. That's absolutely fine. Just going to look at the rest of the bike now. So it's fairly new, but it's not unusual for, especially on a kid's bike. You can see some damage on this barrel adjuster here. It might have been dropped. So we'll check the gears out. This is the new Shimano Q stuff. Basically, it's the lower end stuff that's replacing all of their Alivio, Altus, all that sort of stuff. Just for one universal group set. You can get different ranges of gears, different numbers of gears, and allegedly it all works together. Obviously, you need a different shifter. The chain and cassette, well, the chain is universal across the range, stuff like that. So it's nice. It's quite a nice system. It's quite basic, but it works nicely normally. Let's see how this goes. It's not good noises already. Alright, so it's down to the smallest sprocket. The chain is very dry. There's no oil on this for a start. Got one gear. Shifts actually quite nicely there. A little bit noisy. Not noisy there. Getting noisier. You can hear that there. That's not happy where it is. That's trying to either go up or down. I think it's trying to go up. Basically, if you just put a tiny, tiny bit of pressure here, you'll feel it. And then if it goes up, you know you've got too much cable tension. If you pull it back and it goes down, you know there's not enough. So that wanted to go down. I'm just literally just pulling, put your thumb there and pull this. And then you know which way it was trying to go rather than just guessing. Alright, so the problem we got here is this barrel adjuster has been smashed. It's actually snapped off in here. I don't know if you can see that, but it is actually snapped in half. So we can't make any adjustment to the gears here. So we do need to replace that. There is one on the gear lever, another one, but we can't leave it like this because it's putting a big kink in the cable. This cable should be coming in at a much straighter angle like this. That's why it's making noises, because it's artificially adjusting the cable tension basically. So what we need to do is drop it down to the smallest sprocket here, undo this cable, find a new replacement barrel adjuster, fit that, thread the cable back through. And try and reuse this cable because it's, like I say, it's pretty much brand new. So let's do that. Right, drop that down to there. Need to cut this cap off. Right, so just cut this off here. I'm just going to undo this pinch bolt. It's typical on kids' bike. You'll see massive scratches on the derailleur down here, and this has been took a right good whack on this one. So, right, just pull this cable out. Just remember where the routing goes. It's pretty obvious on this one. Get the cable out, and somehow we've got to get this remains of this barrel adjuster out. Move the cable out of the way. Use some pliers on this because it's pretty bad. I don't really want us to end up changing the derailleur just for the sake of a barrel adjuster, but that's completely sheared off there. There's no way that's coming out. Yeah, it's very broken. Right, do or die on this one now. I'm going to try and straighten it to see if we can unscrew it because it's so bent it won't unscrew. Right, I've just about got you. Yeah, you've got away with that. Lucky. You see how bent it is. There's a big crack in it there, so it's very close to shearing off altogether. So I just need to find something suitable for this now. The replacement one, it's designed for pretty much a universal one really. It's off AliExpress again, but that threads in there nicely. I'm good. I'm just going to put some anti-seize on here because these do tend to seize up quite easily. Some anti-seize on there. Just get that screwed in. There's a little pin here, like a grenade pin. You just pull that out when you got it where you want it. It just flicks out like that, and then that's sprung loaded. Let's get a cable back through there. The cable itself is fine, it's not been damaged. It looks short here. Let's see if we can just pull a little bit through from the frame. Right, there we go. Just pull it through from the frame. There's loads spare at the front again, same as the brake hose, it was too long. Get it so you've got a really smooth transition here. Pull it back through to get it a bit straighter now. Right, that's fine. Get the cable wrapped through where it was. So it goes on this plate, it goes down there and out the back here. It can sometimes be easy just to take this plate off. That's about where it goes. Get some pliers, just grab that through. If you're going to buy a pair of needle nose pliers, I tend to find these ones with an angle on are more useful than a straight one. No particular reason, but I always tend to reach for these more than anything else. And just pull a bit of tension on there and nip this up. We know this cable's all pre-stretched, etc., so we can pretty much just go for its full tightness now, and we have 2 barrel adjusters that work now. Let's see how that shifts now. Got one gear, it's straight up there. Not the next, still noisy. You can still hear that noise and you can see the chain skipping, it's not happy. So just work out what it's trying to do. It's trying to go up there. It's trying to go up to this biggest sprocket here. A tiny bit of pressure there on my knuckle. It drops straight up there. And it should drop straight back down now because I'm not actually shifted this gear. I'm still in this gear on the lever. So it should drop down there now. So it's way too much tension. So we haven't got any spare on this. We'll screw it in at the lever. So that was 12 turns in on the shifter now. So it drops right back down now. Well, I think we're going to have to check the alignment on this because it's not behaving at all. So we're just going to pull the derailleur, pull it back on the spring, otherwise it's going to be a bit challenging. Take that off there and just let it drop down. It can stay there for now. So on the hanger tool, we literally just screw it into the hanger. I've done this in a few videos in better detail, but all we need to do is basically push this band back, push this into there. Remember that band is, drop it down to the bottom and make sure it's in the same place. It's near as damn it, a couple of millimeters. So it is actually slightly out on this way, so it's on this plane it's difficult to straighten it. That's the problem. That's a bit better. Take this off, put the derailleur back on. Get it back on. You've got to overcome the tension in the spring, and there's a little plastic thing on the back of this that you've got to get over the top of the derailleur stop when you're screwing it in. It can be a bit fiddly. Right, that's in the right place now, so we'll just tighten this up. I need to put an end cap on here as well before I forget. Good. Put this end cap on, putting a black one on because the rest of the bike's black. Just check these again. I think they're going to be as good as they get without getting onto the road. And like I say, putting some actual body weight onto it, they'll shift a lot better. Goes up. Goes up. There's always a struggle when you've got such a big jump between sprockets. You will get a struggle. It's very slow going down off that top sprocket. I'm going to give it a quarter turn in. Up. Still a bit slow. Quarter turn in again. Right, so go up. Go down. It's pretty good. Just check the B tension on this as well because there's a big old gap there. Just see if there's a marking. Some of these got a marking where you need to set them to. There's a thing on there, so you're alright. 46. Size of the sprocket, 46 and 46. It's right. Two lines on the derailleur here, one for 41, one for 46. So the bottom of this tooth here should be in line with that there. Depending on your camera angle, but it is in line with that. So this is in the correct position. So the rest of the bike's in good condition. It needs a bit of a clean. I don't know what this is, but we'll give it a good clean. Brakes are really nice. Gears work. Brake hose is now the right size. We've just got to wait for that Loctite to dry on the crank, and then we can refit that with a pedal. Give it a bit of a wipe down. You notice I've got an apron on today. Well, I think it's a better place for my microphone to sit. That's why I'm wearing this. I'll say audio is still very much a work in progress on this. I've only been doing it a few months. I know there's definitely room for improvement. Music seems to be a bone of contention. Some people like the music, some people don't like the music. I mean, obviously I can't please everybody, but it is still work in progress, as I say. So hopefully with this new camera, improved microphone placement, then we can get a compromise between the two. I like the music personally. I think it feels a bit library-ish without it, but like I say, out of 170,000 views now, I've only had 4 people say that they didn't like the music, so I think you probably have voted, to be fair. These Treks are great bikes, honestly, really good value for money, and generally speaking, very well put together, except for that brake hose. I don't know what they were doing there. The Friday afternoon thing, really. It's a very cheap crankset they put on here. There's no name. It's obviously they save money on parts that people generally don't really care about. On this one here, it does the job, but it's not a Shimano one like the rest of the bike. It just saves a few pounds. Probably adds a few pounds in weight. Just giving this a quick wipe down. It's only in for a pedal repair anyway. It isn't in for a full service, but while it's here, make sure everything's right. Okay, so it's the next day now. This Loctite is now finally dry. So I've edited this video last night, and I've noticed that the autofocus is a bit in and out at the moment. So like I say, it's a brand new camera. I'm still getting used to it. I've changed the setting now, so I'm hoping that's a bit better. So apologies if some of the previous footage is a bit out of focus, but we'll get there. But I have noticed that the audio is a big improvement with this being here. So we'll get there in the end, don't worry. So let's see what we can do with this crank now. All right, so my plan is just to try and grind this off without damaging the crank. I think it's inevitable you're going to touch it with a grinder at some point, but we'll try and minimise that. What I've done is just cut this piece of helicopter tape type stuff. I'm going to put that on there, just give me some sort of buffer. Notice all these boxes of inner tubes out the back. This is for my next TPU test. Gravel tyres. Let's see how we go with this. I've got most of it. So I've just put some white insulating tape on there now, actually, rather than aluminium tape. I don't need to go any closer than this, don't get me wrong, and I've got a really bad habit of just going just a tiny little bit further and then just ruining it. So if I do that, then don't be surprised. Right, I'm going to leave it at that. It looks really good. So it's a totally unnecessary step, but I like it. I'm hoping all that stayed in focus with my new setting. We'll get there. One thing we're not done yet is get this pedal out of here. I know the customer said he's really struggled to get it out, but without a proper pedal spanner, they can be quite a challenge. So drop this to the floor and get this pedal out, put the new one back in. All right. There you go. Yeah, it's quite tight, but like I say, with a big pedal spanner, there's no problem. Just wind this out with an Allen key now. There's actually anti-seize paste on here, which is nice. Let's get these new pedals fitted now. They are clearly marked left and right. So we'll get some grease on these threads. Use grease or anti-seize, anything rather than nothing. I think one of my cats is trying to be famous. I've got 5 cats. I'm a workshop dog really, but it's a big commitment. Alright, just wind this in with an Allen key through the back. So there's loads of grease on this thread now. And then just a final torque with your pedal spanner if you so happen to have one. Done. Right, let's spin around and get the offending pedal back on. The grease on the tapers. Finally get this repaired crank back on the bike. Whip this in with an Allen key, torque it up to around about 40 Newton meters for a crank. Square taper left hand cranks. I don't know why. If someone could really enlighten me as to why it's always left hand cranks that work themselves loose and damage the tapers. They're not so much prevalent now, but back in the, well, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago when I used to work in bike shops, we used to do left hand cranks all the time. I've got a good selection of them, but they just used to work loose. It's never the right hand one that falls off, it's always the left hand one. And they're not unscrewing, it's the actual taper itself that's ending up loose. I never have understood it. Let's just get that torqued. Good. So finally we can get this pedal on. Which way does it go again, is it? Oh, I can't remember. Right, so left hand, screw it in the opposite way to what you'd expect on the left hand side. Perfect. Lovely thread. And again, we're just going to finish it off with a pedal spanner. Excess grease. And we're done. So that's ready for collection. Like I say, it's a pretty cheap crank set, so normally you probably end up just changing the whole thing anyway. Similar sort of cost, but just to show you what's possible if you do have a far more expensive train set. It's not the end of the world, they can be repaired. Thanks very much for watching. If you've not already done so, please click the like and subscribe button. It really does help the channel. And thanks very much.